my name is Leathur Rokk. Welcome to my channel. I would like you to see this makeup. If you want to know how I did it, stay tuned. You know, I don't have enough light in my home studio, so I had to go into my garden plot to do it. And I will show you just how I came up with this pink and gold makeup look. Well, it's pretty bad when your light's so bad you gotta go outside, and this is what's going to be my garden, and I'm gonna tie up my hair so you guys can see the makeup tutorial. And you better be able to see this. I'm gonna be pissed off if you can't. I have no light in my home studio except for the overhead light, and that is not satisfactory. So I already prepped my eyelids with a stick shadow primer. I used the one from ELF, and it's a little dark for my skin tone, but I just put it on and I got it as close to the eyebrows as possible. Now, I want to mess around with two palettes today. I want to mess around with the ice cream. This is a Museum of Ice Cream and Sephora collection palette. And I also want to break out. See, I'm going to use up my stuff mode. And this is a B&H Cosmetics palette called the Solar Flare. And it's mostly, obviously, gold shades. And it's kind of not very practical if you really need to be able to do something besides mostly neutral looks. So I'm going to use that to mix with some things, you know, to get something interesting. I also want to explore using this Duo Light Highlight 9-Color palette, which is a highlighter I got from B&H Cosmetics. Back when we didn't know we were going to have this pandemic, and we didn't know that cheek colors and stuff was going to be largely impractical. But you know, with any kind of crease color, you can make a lot of looks with this palette, and I think it's probably a good palette to carry with you. Plus, you can always use a nice size mirror. Now, one other thing I did, because I know that I don't have access to running water here in the garden, I'm using an empty dropper, and this has a little bit of water, because with these palettes, you definitely want to add water to them to intensify the colors. And I got a bunch of my brushes, and now that the sun is beating upon me and bombarding me with UV rays that I should not be exposed to, let's begin. First thing I'm going to do on this is I'm going to get a brow bone color, and I'm going to use one of the top practically white shades, and I'm going to use a big thick brush. This is a B&H Cosmetics Studio Pro number 6, and I'm going to dip into what looks like a mostly matte, well, not really, because it has some iridescence white shade. And I'm going to get real close. I'm going to try to use this so you really see what I'm doing, because I think that's a big issue that you guys don't get to see what I'm doing. But it's either you get to see what I'm doing or I get to see what I'm doing. And you can't say there's not enough light. Okay. And this is just me and my webcam and my Lenovo. I'm going to hope that this looks good. I'm just basically giving the eyebrow, which for me and my pale skin is a natural brow bone color. And I'm going to check in this mirror to make sure that in fact it looks fine, and it does. And if it's windy and it's affecting the sound, I do apologize. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a Wet n Wild brush. This is supposed to be one of the, I forget what they call it, but it's really great for depositing color. And I'm going to go into this color. There's so many options for golds. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to take a little bit of a germy chance. I'm going to put some of this water in an eyedropper on my hand, right? And let's pretend I have a freshly washed hands while I'm out here in my garden plot. I'm going to get it on this brush, get the brush really wet, and then I'm going to dip one of my favorite shades in this. All these colors have names, by the way. It's called Photosphere. And I'm going to get this, oops, I screwed up. I got on Chromosphere instead. Guess what? I'm going to go with it. Now, this is going to be a bit darker color than I wanted, but I'm going to dip this very thoroughly on this brush that's great for depositing color. And then I'm going to use this Museum of Ice Cream mirror just because it's a good mirror. And I'm just going to put this on the lid. I'm going to pack it on the lid. See? Now I'm going to do that on the second eye. Again, the color is called Chromosphere. And it is a darker gold dramatic, and I'm going to pack it on the lid only. I want to leave the crease and the brow bone that if you're pale like me, you won't be able to really see from that color that we just applied prior. And let's give this a little bit of time to dry, because I noticed if you have a not quite dry lid color and then you go to apply a powder crease color, sometimes what ends up happening as the moist lid color ends up getting some of the crease color, and it becomes really muddy and very hard to fix. All right, I'm going to find another brush. This is my favorite brush. This is a B&H Cosmetics number 17. Probably one of the most expensive of the brushes I got. This was whole $4.90 on sale. Now, I'm looking for something really bright. I'm tired of this pale, neutral, boring stuff. I'm going to go into the hot pink on this, and I'm going to load this brush with this hot pink color. See this? You know what? I even touched a little bit of this on, which I did not do on purpose. I hope you could see what I'm doing. I'm going to go just where the crease would be. And you see how matte and intense this color is? Do you see what I'm doing? Can you see? I can't tell if you can see this or not. Now, I'm going just into the crease. See, now I can't really see what I'm doing. I'm not trying to do Picasso, you guys. Okay. The whole idea is to get a relatively thin line that's very opaque, that's of this matte pink color. And it's like you want to do an exaggerated arc of what you know your crease is. Okay. If it looks a little too obnoxious, don't be afraid, because you are going to blend this out. Okay, now I'm going to check it here. I want to try to get this looking as symmetrical as possible. Now, before we go any further, let's take a look. Okay, you see what we're doing so far? Now, I'm going to find another blending brush, and let's look for another color in this B&H Cosmetics Solar Flare thing. Now, let's look for maybe, how's about, there's a really dark purple in here called Gamma Ray. And I want to use a fluffy blending brush. I don't want something that's going to deposit a lot of obnoxious color. I'm using the Studio Pro number 5. And see this purple here? It looks almost black, but it's definitely frosty. And I'm just going to twirl it. Can you see what I'm doing? And when you get a little bit something on here, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use this mirror. I hope the heck you can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to do a little dot right here in the outer corner. And if that's not enough, go back into this, get some more, twirl it on your brush, dip it right into the corner. See? Now, do the same thing with the other side. Right where the corner of your outer eye, where the V would be. Just dip it in, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Now, that's not intense enough, or is that what you're thinking? Go back into your water. Put an eyedropper of the water into your hand, because you're out in a scuzzy garden someplace. That brush, dip that into the water. Now, this is where you contaminate your eyeshadow, of course. Go back into that eyeshadow. Dip it right in the center. You don't want to share your eyeshadow after this, unless you sterilize it. Do a good job, because if your brush is a little too wet, it might be too sheer. Now, go back into where you just applied it. Stick your finger right here. I mean, not your finger. Stick your brush right here. Now, you don't want to wiggle around too much, and I'll tell you why. Because you have gold here, and if you're doing a dark purple, gold and purple makes brown. You don't want brown. So, dip your brush back. Wind's kicking up. Dip your brush back into this outer corner. Now, pull it up a little bit. Okay, I hope this doesn't move the screen too much. Now you can move it, wiggle it around some so that you try to get an even wing. Okay, now I think we need another color to tie things all together, to blend things some. And the way I see it, we can go back and do another gold, or we can go into something purple. How's about getting like a pinkish gold kind of shade? And there's one in this B&H Cosmetics Solar Flare that is called Chromosphere. And I'm going to dip in, I'm going to use the brush B&H Cosmetics. This is a vegan number 5, I believe. And it looks like any of those other blending brushes I just used. And I'm going to go into, no, it's called Energy, excuse me, because the names are up here. It's called Energy. And I'm pretty much going to load this brush real good. Okay, and I'm not going to wet this at first. Let's see what this looks like. And I'm going to go over the pink a little bit, just between the pink and the brow bone color. You see what I just did? I softened it up a little bit. Now, try it again with this. You know, depending on how the light shifts and if this attracts people, I may have to do some of this someplace else. I hope I don't have to. I really want to take advantage of the light. Now I'm going to go back. I'm trying to use this computer screen to, you know what, I'm going to check this. You know what, if that's not enough to make an effect, load your brush again and go back over. What I'm doing here is I'm adding another stripe in between the pink and that first brow bone color, but I'm also blending out the pink. You know, blending it a little bit more. Feel free to load up your brush again, go to the other side. I am stressing that you don't need to wet your brush for this. This is perfectly fine to do a dry brush. Now, do you see how I made things more subtle than they looked at first? Okay, now I think it's time for eyeliner. And I did bring some things with me. Oh, just so you know, the eyebrow color that I'm using is still these gray pencils. I have so many of them were given to me, and I figured I might as well, until maybe after I do my hair, would touch it up, then I can find a color that more matches my hair, obviously. But I brought a mascara too. I'm going to use the Skull Mascara that has a really big brush. Even though it's not waterproof and it's a really windy day, as you can tell by now. Oh, and I'm wearing a foundation. I've discovered that when you're wearing masks, you need a foundation that is not going to come up on your mask. The Ordinary Coverage Foundation really does a good job of not coming off too much on masks. Okay, I'm sure that around my nose where it's running, it probably is coming off, but it's not too bad. I want to find, I have a black pencil that I'm going to use for my eyeliner. And I'm going to do this really simple. This is an Ulta Beauty pencil eyeliner. And I'm just going to use this mirror. I hope you can still see what I'm doing here. I have no idea if you can see this at all. And you know what? It looks like I have to sharpen my pencil, so let me do that. Okay. There, sharpen my pencil. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my under eye water. I'm not doing a waterline. I'm going to go ahead and do the pointy in the center. Okay, and my nose is really running. Oh, I use the jade roller after I did my foundation. That's really good for making sure that the foundation doesn't get stuck in your lines and wrinkles. It really is a great last step before going on camera. Of course, it would be a very nice step if I could find my tissue so I could blow my nose. Hold on a second. This is the brush. This was the derma roller. I'm going to have to wash this good because this part fell into the garden. So, this is a mascara. And this is just going to be some easy swipes. I'm not going to mess with it a lot. I'm just going to hope that it dries. I'm using this screen as my mirror. And I just realized something. I forgot to bring a lip color. Isn't that stupid? The one thing I said before I left the house. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back into this palette. You know, when you're wearing a mask, you want something that's not going to come off on your makeup anyway. I'm going to use probably the cleanest finger I have, which is this pinky. And I'm going to dip into the pink color that's in here. And I'm just going to put it on my mouth. You know? Now, I'm going to take my hair out. And you guys tell me what you think. See? You're supposed to be under quarantine. If you don't have good light in your house and you want to look cute, and this is a look with pinks and golds. You like it? If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you like me and my content, I'd love to have you subscribe. I make 3 new videos a week. I'd love to take you along with me on my adventures. And fingers crossed I'll have better light, so I'll be able to do better stuff in my studio. Until then, talk to you soon. Bye.